good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy day to join us on our Planning Your Maintenance Inventory accurately and efficiently. My name is Jeff. I'll be your host for today's event, which means I'll be in the background answering any general or technical questions for anybody that does need assistance. Now, during today's call that is being recorded, we are going to ask you to participate in Q&A by placing those questions in the lower right-hand corner of the screen where it says Q&A. Type those questions directly in the small rectangular square and simply hit send to all panelists, and we'll address those at the end of today's session. Now, during today's session, we're going to have two things that will be a call to action. One, just during the event, we are going to be sharing a desktop demonstration. Your screen's going to change. Don't worry, that's just a normal functionality of the system. And then at the end of today's session, we're going to have a short survey for all of you to fill out. So please be aware and look for that. Without further ado, it's my extreme privilege to turn the call over to Rod Strata. Rod, the call is yours.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Today we want to share with you our continued commitment and investment to provide you innovation and a path to accelerate the highest levels of supply chain performance, compliance, and speed to serve your customers with efficiency and profitability. More than ever, intelligent and speed-based decisions are critical to ensure the right resources and the right products and inventories in the right place in a highly visible and actionable environment. We will share with you proven leading edge technology, along with very sound business practices supported by our supply chain practice and supply chain management, along with our partner Westernacher, to talk a little bit about risk-mitigated rapid deployment solutions and options to optimize your field service maintenance and repair. With that, I'd like to go through our agenda. Get to the agenda. Okay, thank you. So today we're going to, Brian Jones is going to lead us off in regarding SAP and our presence in the utilities industry. SAP has invested tremendously over the years and have worked very, very closely with our customers to ensure great success in utilities. And thereafter, you will hear around maintenance plan integration from our partner Westernacher. So with that, Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate the introduction. So let's jump right into it. I saw from the attendee list that we have a good mix of both existing SAP clients as well as I'm assuming several people that may be somewhat new to SAP. So just real quickly, I want to give you a short overview of who SAP is and the utility solutions that we provide. So SAP globally provides enterprise management and support, so the classic ERP functionalities to more than 2,000 utilities on a global basis. And as you see on the slide, we also have built specific functionalities that are specific to utilities and how they manage their business. And that's whether you're an electric, gas, or water utility, we have built specific solutions to help you better manage your business. So, for example, we have an enterprise asset management solution, a resource and supplier management solution, which we're going to drill deeper in today, where we help you plan and manage your workforce and inventory management, as well as procurement and the service of spare parts. Additionally, we offer an energy data management solution, a comprehensive customer relationship and billing solution, customer financials management, and collaborative services management for those who are involved in a competitive energy market. So again, today we're going to focus and drill down into some areas around our supply chain management. And again, today we support over 800 customers in the utility space globally with these solutions. So as I mentioned, SAP provides a comprehensive integrated supply chain management solution, from sourcing all the way through to the crews in the field. And whether that be a crew in a power plant, a water facility, or managing a transmission distribution network, we help you manage that entire value chain so that you always ensure that you get the appropriate part to the appropriate person at the right time. And as Rod mentioned, today we have one of our trusted partners, Westernacher, with us. Westernacher has built a pre-configured plant maintenance solution for utilities that includes service parts planning and extended warehouse management. So those are two areas that we're going to focus specifically on today. SAP service parts planning is a key area for utilities. SAP has decades of experience helping utilities of all sizes reduce investment in the supply chain while simultaneously ensuring they have the right part at the right time to the right person. So whether you're operating a fleet of nuclear plants or fossil fuel plants, whether you're an electric or gas utility operating and managing a transmission and distribution network, or even if you're a water utility managing water infrastructure, we have the best practices built into our solutions when they're delivered. And at the same time, our solutions recognize the nuances unique to each customer. For example, not every electric utility will plan and operate and manage their supply chain in the same way. I live in Florida. FPL is my local utility, and FPL must manage their supply chain for T&D, for example, based upon being the lightning capital of the world. Not necessarily the same sort of rules and circumstances would apply to one of our other customers up in Canada, Sask Power, for example, where they don't nearly have an issue with lightning strikes. So lightning arresters, how you plan for procuring that particular item is much different, and there's seasonal adjustments and so on. So again, it doesn't matter what your needs are. We help you manage and configure the solution so that you have an automated solution to help manage these circumstances. Now, as we move on, we're also going to talk a little bit about the SAP Extended Warehouse Management Solution that Westernacher has taken advantage of building a pre-configured solution. The Extended Warehouse Management Solution evolves your warehouse into a performance distribution center that supports high-performance operations, event-triggered process automation, and flexible and adaptable processes that meet your unique needs. So again, whether you are dealing with an ice storm in the mid-Atlantic, a hurricane in Florida, perhaps an earthquake in California, or just another routine day, you can be confident that our comprehensive solutions and flexible supply chain suite that we offer will optimize your performance and ensure, most importantly, reliability. So with that, I'd like to turn the call over to our friends and partners at Westernacher. Christoph, Reichert, the call is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rod and Brian, for the introduction, and most of all for giving us the opportunity to show our solution to support this SAP supply chain integration and solution. I would like to lead over to the main topic for today's webcast and introduce Westernacher's MPI service. MPI stands for Maintenance Plan Integration. MPI is a service that Westernacher has developed to support SAP's integrated supply chain concept, and it leverages SAP Service Parts Planning, which is SPP, and Plant Maintenance, which is PM, and helps utilities plan their spare parts demand more accurately and efficiently. And our service will ensure that the right part is available for maintenance work at the right location at the right time. But before I start, let me first briefly introduce my colleagues on this webcast. With me today is David Murch. He is a senior consultant and practice specialist here at Westernacher. David has extensive and varied background in plant maintenance, procurement, and warehouse management. He has over 25 years' experience in maintenance and operations in the oil and gas and utilities industries, including 14 years of SAP experience in various modules, including PM and SPP. Second, we have Ravi Patwadan. He is a principal for after-sales planning and execution and has several years of experience implementing SAP's SCM suite, including service parts planning, extended warehouse management, and supplier network collaboration. My name is Christoph Reichert. I'm a director for commercial operations at Westernacher and also responsible for the North America utilities business. I have 15 plus years background in business and IT strategy, as well as SAP project management, solution design, and implementation experience. Ravi will moderate the Q&A later on, and all of us will be available after the presentation to answer your questions. So let's start with an overview and the objectives for today's webcast. In today's presentation, we would like to briefly introduce Westernacher and its services, especially here in North America. Then I will take you through the business case for MPI service that will hopefully convince you that there's a substantial business benefit to be achieved using MPI for better spare parts planning. I will then hand over to David, who will explain the concept, functionality, and process of our MPI service. He will give you a live demo showing how MPI works in the SAP system. And finally, as mentioned before, we'll have a Q&A and wrap-up. So who's Westernacher Consulting, and what do we offer? Westernacher is a business and IT consulting company focusing on IT strategy and implementation. Westernacher has been in business for 43 years and has today a global presence with 10 offices in 7 countries and a team of over 240 consultants. Westernacher has been a leader in supply chain management solutions over many years and is proud to be a SAP special expertise partner in supply chain management. We are also currently applying for SAP's Rapid Deployment Solution Partnership for SPP here in North America, with additional RDS services to follow for EWM, SNC, and TM in 2013. A strong asset of our clients is that Westernacher hosts its own SAP systems. For example, ECC, SCM, EWM, SPP, and now TM. We leverage them together with our clients for proof of concept, rapid prototyping, and fit gap analysis in initial phases of a project engagement in order to show the potential benefits of the particular SAP solution very early in the game. Also, if you're an ASOC member, you can try the ASOC demo services for EWM and SPP, which have been set up by Westernacher and that run on our systems. Our offerings can be grouped by business, IT, and industry experience. Here you can see our strong business focus on service asset management and supply chain management, as well as our IT focus on IT strategy and SAP solutions, and with utilities being one of our key target industries. So how does the business case for maintenance plan integration look like? Better spare parts management can help utilities achieve substantial cost savings. Utilities in today's market and regulatory environments are looking for ways to operate more competitively and more efficiently in order to realize cost savings. Improving spare parts management holds major potentials for cost savings, especially through a reduction in spare parts inventories. The inefficient norm for utilities today is to carry large volumes of expensive and slow-moving inventory. Our MPI service, which leverages SAP ECC's plant maintenance and SAP SCM service parts management, has been developed to help utilities achieve more cost-efficient spare parts management and to help gain competitive advantage that directly translates into your company's bottom line. What are the issues and pain points in today's spare parts management? Spare parts management processes are usually cumbersome, bureaucratic, and slow, with the potential result that maintenance work cannot be performed as planned and on time. Long lead times require utilities to order spare parts ahead of maintenance work. If not forecasted properly, this can lead to excess parts piling up in the inventory, resulting in tying up the working capital. Spare parts used by utilities tend to be unique to the company, which means that they cannot be easily returned once they have been ordered, and they will be held in inventory. To sum it up, there exist significant uncertainties and inefficiencies related to spare parts management today. Overcoming these uncertainties and inefficiencies can translate into substantial and tangible business benefits. An AMR study on supply chain planning and execution has concluded that best case spare parts management and planning can help decrease inventories by up to 66%, increase first-time fill rates by up to 26%, and drive service levels up to 98%. And even if you're more conservative, these KPIs still look impressive, with a potential decrease in inventories by 30%, increase in first-time fill rates by 7 to 10%, and increase in service levels to somewhere between 90 and 96%. So just imagine how these numbers translate into your company's inventory cost, working capital, and consequently your bottom line. So why is spare parts planning so important in all of this? The focus here is on planning, or in other words, to accurately and early know what parts are needed for maintenance work in the future. Obviously, if there's no part, then there's no maintenance. So more accurate and efficient planning will help you to meet the required service levels continuously, keep inventory and costs as low as possible, and maximize the efficiency of the utilities, logistics, and maintenance execution. But a research study, which you see on the bottom part of this page, of the Aberdeen Group shows that over 50% of companies either never or sporadically measure the accuracy of their maintenance-related spare parts forecasts. This is represented by the 3 left bars. So there is quite a lot of room for improvement. Another interesting and academically backed reality is that almost all of the maintenance spare parts demand results from predictable maintenance work, from elective or preventative maintenance plans, outages, or other predictable demand categories. Corrective maintenance situations in which the company potentially has to shut down or reduce their output are rare. This leads to the conclusion that improved forecasting of scheduled and unscheduled maintenance can improve efficiencies, increase the maintenance crew's effectiveness, and can lead to substantial cost savings. I hope that this short business case discussion has given you a first impression of the potentials and benefits of an improved spare parts management. I would like now to hand over to my colleague David Murch, who will introduce you to Westernacher's MPI service for better spare parts management using SAP.
Thank you, Christoph. Okay, so to kind of get into the meat of the matter here, what we're looking at is a solution in order to integrate the information that we have in our PM systems into some form that we can now drive the benefit from the planning aspects of this. Some of the challenges that we're normally faced when we're looking with maintenance plans is that some, but usually not all, of our work order demand is coming out of maintenance plans themselves. Now, that should be a schedulable quantity. We know when those things should occur based on the data in the system. We're also faced with expensive parts. Now, many maintenance plans consist of many consumable parts are low, but we also have a great deal of parts that have some significant cost factors to them. Then the one that was always a pet peeve of mine was the fact that we have a lot of long lead times when we talk about material aspects in maintenance plans. We really need a good way in order to get these indoor planning solutions. Some of the common workarounds for this would be, first of all, to decrease the maintenance plan call horizon. Basically, in short, we're saying bring those work orders into the system earlier. Create them as a requirement into the system in order so that the system can then order things. But basically what we're doing there is we're ordering things earlier into inventory, and we're also creating more of an administrative burden because we're adding more work orders to the system to do that. And we're doing that just for material reasons and not for maintenance reasons. We could increase the safety stock as well. We could just simply stock more parts. But to carrying enough parts to handle both scheduled versus unscheduled maintenance adds to higher inventories as well as stock keeping costs. And of course, if we don't have the materials, then we have to reschedule the work orders. If the materials aren't available, we can't do the maintenance. That is not always an option. When we're talking about in highly regulatory environments, that we're under regulatory requirements to take care of some maintenance on particular schedules. So rescheduling is not always an option. So what we looked at for an approach, and what we have is a way in order to derive the future demand of the maintenance plans without actually creating the orders in advance. Using the maintenance plan data, we now know what we're going to use based on various frequencies and the dating that we have within the maintenance plans to give us the requirements that we need in order to have a projected demand for the scheduled maintenance. Now, that we can then take into the service parts planning, the SPP system, and specifically into the section what we call the demand requirement planning, or DRP, in order to supplement the stock when the maintenance is due. Now, the kind of a key feature here is I said supplement stock. In other words, we're going to carry enough stock to do an unscheduled maintenance, and when we need the maintenance specific items, then we'll schedule those to come in. So some of the benefits that we can derive from this is, first of all, if you're already using service parts planning, here's an immediate benefit, because we can immediately turn this on and we can be able to start showing you how we can reduce some of the safety stock levels. In general, over the long period, we should be able to reduce the safety stock levels and stock keeping costs of any maintenance items at the product location level. Okay. This also will enhance the value of the maintenance plan solution in ECC. If we can have better reliability with our maintenance materials and still keep it at reasonable cost, then we should have better reliability as far as our maintenance scheduling. And once again, the one that's near and dear to me is the long lead materials. Now we have a way in order to procure those in a more timely manner and still we meet the required dates. So what are some of the components that we're dealing with in this? First of all, within the ECC system, we're using the standard maintenance plans, and we're using the logistics out of the for your parts through procurement exactly the same way you are now. No changes here. As far as the SPP and the demand forecasting, we're still utilizing all the benefits of the forecasting abilities of the unscheduled maintenance, and I'm going to get into that differentiation in a minute, in order to optimize your inventories and still meet your service levels for both unscheduled as well as scheduled maintenance. We're tying these together as far as the data interchange in the standard NetWeaver system that's included in the SCM interchange, so we don't have any special interfaces that we're going to need to write in order to have this information transferred between the systems. So with the maintenance plan and integration, so first of all, as far as the ERP system, we're able to optimize our maintenance material. We're also able to improve the long lead material aspects of this, as well as inventorying and the inventory costs, and get some stability for the unscheduled maintenance. Some direct benefits for the sections of the business is, first of all, obviously, anytime that we can reduce inventory and stock keeping costs, we have better capital, working capital. Also, reduction in the disruption of the critical processes. If we have better scheduling and not dependent on materials, we can actually schedule based on availability of other resources. And we've got no modifications that we're making to SPP that are going to impede any future upgrades. All the things that we're putting in there as far as the maintenance plan solutions are very, very upgradable. As far as for the maintenance planner, the benefits that they're going to be seeing immediately is, first of all, efficiency as far as the improved maintenance and workforce scheduling processes. We're now not dependent on the materials. Now we can schedule based on the workforce. As far as the material planners, we have accurate lead times throughout the distribution network, so we have good traceability, and of course now we have good visibility as far as the scheduled maintenance requirements that are going to be in the future that right now are still hidden in the maintenance plans. So a little more about how these weren't going to work if they were independently. So if we talk about the maintenance planning process, if we did not have the maintenance planning integration, first of all, SPP is going to be taking demand forecasts and still creating these within the systems, doing the EOQ calculations and safety stock calculations. If you're only running SPP and you're not running this MPI integration, you still have a very powerful tool in the forecasting to be able to provide you good numbers for what you should be stocking. We're also then using the ERP as far as your procurement execution. SPP logistics planning comes into this with a strong tie over to extended warehouse management. So now we have good forecasting and we have good logistical tools that are all allow for the material movements. The ERP system would still be running in there in order to create this demand. The historical demand would still be in the system, and as far as any procurements, it would still operate. But when we integrate with using MPI, now we can integrate the projection of the material directly into the demand resource planning. Now we have the benefits of the forecast with the benefits of being able to get the visibility of the projected material directly into the tool that allow us to do the procurement at a timely manner rather than just carrying forecasts so we have enough stock in place. So how does this calculate out, and how does this end up working for our best benefit? First of all, the system is going to take the total historic consumption. Now, this is the amount of consumption of the maintenance materials that were derived, both scheduled and unscheduled basis. We're then also specifically looking at the unscheduled maintenance. In other words, maintenance that did not come out of maintenance plans. And we're using the power of the forecasting tools within the service parts planning in order to give us an extremely accurate forecast over what we're going to need to carry in stock to meet our unscheduled needs. We're also taking a look at what's inside the ERP system as far as the scheduled maintenance, bringing that out as a forecast, or as a projected demand. And when these two are brought together into the ERP system, we have both our unscheduled versus our scheduled demand showing up in one place that allows us now to do our procurement based on the requirements from both unscheduled and scheduled demand. So now let me scoot over here and we'll get into something real. And I'm hoping everybody is seeing my desktop. Right now, I'm going to go into a very simple maintenance plan. I created this maintenance plan so that you could, and I kept it very clean so we could be able to see exactly what these components are. First of all, this is a strategy-based plan. We're using a calendar-based strategy plan as a guide for this. We're also working with single cycle plans and other types of strategies. As you can see, this particular strategy plan has multiple frequencies, has a very simple maintenance item. But if we take a look at our task list, what we have is something that that you would expect to see on very basic air compressor maintenance. We're going to be doing monthly maintenance, quarterly maintenance, annual maintenance on this thing. Specifically, if I take a look at the differences between the monthly and the quarterly maintenance, you see that right now in this maintenance plan, I've got two different frequencies that I'm going to work out between those, and they're mutually exclusive. So I should see materials on a monthly basis for one operation. I should see a different requirement for the quarterly maintenance. The maintenance requirements as far as the quantities vary based on the frequencies. So first of all, in the monthly maintenance, I put a token filter in this thing. This is would be a filter that in normal maintenance we would take a look at and have at least one on hand to make sure that if we've got any fouling of a single unit, we can go ahead and change this. We have an availability of at least one. So historically, we've needed that, so now I've got one. But on a quarterly basis, we do a full change out of all 20 units. I'm off of this after an example that I use quite often as far as we'd have to change out some sock filters and an air filter where this was a very normal function, and we had to carry at least 20 all the time in order to meet this maintenance. Thing too is to note is that if I want to take a look at when the material needed would be necessary, in the maintenance plan, we already know when this material is necessary, but if you'll notice here, example, right now I've got this scheduled in the future. I've withheld the deadline monitoring on this. So we don't have a work order to actually create this demand. There's nothing in the system that's going to tell, as far as the ERP system, that this demand is coming. Now, jumping over here to the SCM system, the screen you're seeing now is what we call the demand requirements matrix. Basically, demand requirements planning matrix. What the demand requirements planning matrix, DRP, so I can say it faster, is showing us is that we already know that based on the historical data in this, we've got a forecasted amount of filters that we're going to use throughout our facilities in order to meet a normal need. Specifically, if we take a look at this month, historically it says that we're going to use approximately 11 of these each month, or for that particular month. But you'll also see that for that particular month, we've got a fixed demand quantity that we now have in the system that's telling us we know we're going to need to augment the stock by 20 units for that month in order to meet that future need. It's being brought in as a prioritized fixed demand and what we also refer to as a non-overriding demand. What that means is that we now can set a priority against the maintenance material versus just the material that's there for unscheduled maintenance. And we're also giving in the non-overriding, meaning we're going to augment the stock in addition to what the forecasting is already determined we need in order to meet the needs of the maintenance plan items that are coming out. This is all being done without a work order in place. I now have a tool that's showing my planners that we need to be augmenting stock in order to meet the needs of this maintenance plan. So I think this is where we would walk into our wrap-up and Q&A. Robbie, I think that's also to you.
Yes, hello everyone. There have been some questions that have been coming in, and I'm going to start addressing those one by one. There are some interesting questions, and based on the area of expertise for each question, I'm going to direct those questions to the appropriate person to answer. The first question is a good one. It's asking about how long does a typical MPI implementation take? Now, David, if I may answer this, typically an MPI implementation is quite simple, and it's about a matter of weeks in which it can be implemented. But more important, if you want to have an analysis of the existing plant maintenance and SPP installations, then it's a different story. Now, if no SPP exists, then we usually estimate a minimum of at least about 3 to 4 months to set up core standard SPP functionality with the new RDS functionality that SAP has brought in the picture. And of course, that's only counting core processes. You would need some additional work required there for any kind of master data cleansing or optimization and process review, improvement, etc. So that was the question about the time frame for a typical MPI implementation. The next question I see here is what kind of training and skill sets are required to use MPI? David, do you want to answer that?
First of all, to use MPI specifically, there are no special skills. We're designing our maintenance plans exactly the same way. There is no difference there. We're taking the material requirements from the plans exactly as you have them right now. The operation as far as on the SCM side of this is, once again, there are no special skills. When the DRP is run, it is giving this information to the planners via the planner workbench. And so they will see those numbers there as part of their normal day-to-day business.
Okay. The next question I see here is how is SPP forecasting going to trigger into procurement and warehousing functionality of SAP? For example, ECC MM and EWM. So this is a very SPP-specific question, and since SPP is a pretty broad topic, I'll try to keep it very, very concise and short. In typical SPP functionality, you have your forecasting piece that becomes a part of your tactical planning that triggers inventory planning, in which your key inventory parameters are calculated, such as EOQ and safety stock, and that in turn drives your operational planning piece of SPP, which is driven by DRP and deployment, which basically does your internal and external procurement within and outside your distribution network. Now, these planned results are published to ECC for execution purposes, and that's where your integration to your standard MM processes begin. And of course, EWM also takes over in case you want to use the EWM functionality for logistics execution as well. Now, EWM does handle detailed logistics execution, and the user can monitor the results of the planning as well as execution via some sophisticated, real cool monitoring tools such as the SPP cockpit. Then you have the inbound delivery monitor, etc. I think in essence, the whole concept of SPP that SAP introduces is the concept of net change planning. So the system is really supposed to run on autopilot mode, and the planner can only step in to resolve any kind of discrepancies as required. So that was about the question about for SPP forecasting and how that triggers into the rest of the SAP processes. The next question, David, again, this one's going to be for you. How would maintenance parts planning work without MPI? So that is just with ECC PM functionality.
With ECC PM functionality only, then we're reliant on what our inventory levels are and standard MRP replenishment of consumed parts to the work orders. The two problems that we face immediately as far as the material side of that thing is, are we carrying enough stock? Is there ways in order to survey the stock to make sure this is that we have adequate stock levels at all times, or are we simply running on what is our historical values that we've always carried certain ones? And the other one is the fact that we have to have a requirement in the system in order to consume from the material side. And once the consumption or the requirement is in place, then we can do the procurement. They have to exist before we can do the procurement on standard ECC system.
Okay. One last question I see here is, what other uses or capabilities does SPP offer that go beyond the MPI service? SPP is a planning tool by design, and I just briefly talked about some of the features that SPP brings to the table, such as it splits up your operational planning and tactical planning. And then it also brings to the table some other additional bells and whistles in the form of overarching processes, such as supersession and product lifecycle management, phase in, phase out, surplus and obsolescence planning, etc., etc. So those are some of the additional uses and capabilities that SPP offers. And of course, there is the native integration aspect to ECC via the core interface. Other than that, I don't see any additional questions coming in at this point, but please feel free to keep them flowing. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, David, again, to do a wrap-up.
Thank you, Ravi. going back up just a quick wrap up. We do have in the summary slide that we're looking at the features of SPP and MPI are basically allow us to integrate the information that we have within the plant maintenance module into the service parts planning aspects. Now we're able to take advantage of not only well-planned maintenance plans in order for maintenance, but also have the data in a very highly accurate and efficient planning environment in order to make sure that procurement is not a reason why we're not doing our maintenance on time. Our objectives was to make sure that we had the right materials at the right time in the right place. Using the forecasting and the logistical aspects of SCM, both SPP as well as EWM, we're able to get those materials when the maintenance technicians need them. We also have, the other as far as the reduction of the MRO costs when we're talking about stock keeping and materials, and be able to keep some consistency with this. We have very stable planning environments now.
Okay, a few more questions that are coming in here. First question is SPP part of SCM or ECC? How does this product interact with DP and SNP? SPP, from a technical standpoint, belongs to the SCM box, so it's a SCM solution. However, it's very closely integrated with the ECC solution in the sense that all of your planning results are published to ECC for execution purposes. Again, to reiterate myself, SPP is a planning tool, so there is no real execution aspect that can be handled by SPP. As far as the interaction with DP and SNP is concerned, yes, that is possible. We have seen some cases where customers have chosen to use traditional APO-DP to carry out forecasting, because APO-DP offers a little more sophisticated, or I should say more than sophisticated, little more flexible features in the sense that you can define your own key figures, and it also offers the ability to slice and dice your data a little more than SPP does. But of course, SPP makes up for that with the fact that it offers you some really sophisticated forecasting models. But the approach that we have seen some customers follow is that they have used APO-DP to carry out your forecasting and then use that forecasting as an input to the operational planning aspect of SPP. So that integration is definitely possible. Next question I see is, how do you feed a work order demand to SPP? Is that through MRP? David, do you want to take that?
No, it's not through MRP. So work order demand, so if we take a look at both aspects of this, the first order, if we have a demand that is in a work order, then really what we're looking at is the historical demand. We're taking a look at work orders that have been completed, and we're using the historical demand that we're giving to SPP in order to give us the historical forecastings. Now, when you say work order, that could be both the scheduled and unscheduled work orders, which would then, we're segmenting those in order to do the right forecasting. As far as what we're doing as far as the planning in the future, we're using the maintenance plan data there. There, we're getting the requirements that we're going to have for demand in the future without having the work order.
Okay. That's about it as far as the questions that I see. Again, folks, keep them coming. And again, if you think of any other question that might strike you at a later point, our contact information is listed on your screen right here. So please feel free to send us an email at a later point of time. Back to you, David.
There we go.
I think it's also a good time to maybe wrap it up altogether. Maybe you can
yes, it is.
Give it back to the host of this webcast. And I think there's one more technical question regarding the availability of this webcast in the future. So maybe you can answer that question, please.
Okay, well, folks, again, thanks for joining us here today. You see that we do have the polling question there that's available for you to take before you leave today. We do appreciate your time here today, and this will bring us to the close. Have a wonderful afternoon.